Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to another 5 and 9 review in the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I go over 5 things you need to know about a game in about 9 minutes-ish. Today I'm taking a look at Lord of the Rings Fate of the Fellowship, a pandemic system game. This one is the third in the pandemic line of the big IPs following up on Star Wars The Clone Wars, World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King. You see, I have all the pandemics here. Pandemic is my favorite game in all those iterations. Love me some Lord of the Rings, so not so much preamble over here. 2 wonderful things baked into one. Has Matt Leacock done it again? What are some of the pluses and minuses? I'll get into all that when we go to the videotape. Disclaimer, I was provided a review copy of Fate of the Fellowship from the publisher. My number 5 is a mix, which is the overall production. Having posted the playthrough and seeing the comments, the board itself is kind of divisive. On the positive side, the borders are clear. Rising Tide had a problem with the borders, so really important. We're a regions-based game, so at least that stuff is clear. And, the locations and everything, it's not hard to see what's going on the map, but just visually, aesthetically, things might seem a little bit crowded. On the plus side, you have these Nazgul. I love these things. They look really cool, and also just from a usability perspective, the fact that they are raised, you can distinguish them from the troops and the characters that are more flat. It creates a good vibe of being haunted on the table and also helps you when you want to identify how many dice you need to roll for those search rolls. But I can't talk about the production without addressing this beast over here, this dice tower. I mean, rule of cool, and there's going to be people out there that are going to enjoy stuff like this. As a matter of fact, we got a couple of comments where like they wanted more production. They didn't want the standees. They wanted minis or little things like that. Quoting a commenter directly, how expensive do we want this game to be? This is a $70 game MSRP, which I'm torn about. The original Pandemic, at least for the second edition, was $40. Now it's $45. Much more reasonable cost, especially here in 2025, cost-conscious tariffs, all that kind of thing. And just in gaming, there's this push for deluxification in everything. So in gaming especially, things have to be nicer, and nicer to me is more expensive. So that is a your mileage may vary thing. Just want to point all that out. My number 4 is a pro. There's a lot to talk about, so I'm combining 2 things. Both pros, movement and combat. So movement, it borrows from Pandemic Fall of Rome in the sense that you have your character and you also have troops. You can move with as many troops as you want, even troops from different factions. And advancing from Fall of Rome, you don't have a limitation of 3. You can take as many troops as you want, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever you need to do. So that's cool. Also, this is unique to all the other pandemics. You can move with other characters for one movement. So if I wanted to go into Moria with Gandalf, Gollum, we need to take back the mines of Moria from the Balrog.
Yes, precious, let's go! But I don't want to go.
I have a ring.
Fine, let's go. Yay!
One move takes everybody into the same place, which creates a lot of strategic options, especially when you're taking Frodo and Sam towards Mordor. Saves a lot of actions to move things around, creates a lot of options. Combat is easy, it's an action. There's always going to be something that results, so you don't get those null turns. So you can take out the enemy, or you can have, friendly fire, that kind of thing. Also, if there is a Nazgul present, and you get that particular face, they wipe out 2 of your troops. So accounting for the Nazgul when you are choosing the attacks, and that kind of tense moment where it's like, oh, I really don't want to fight around the Nazgul, but I need to take something out, creates wonderful choices, and it's really simple. Creates a great feel for tense combat while keeping within the overall streamlined structure of Pandemic. Very well done. My number 3 ended up being a massive pro, which is the enemy bot. The bot has a lot to do in terms of threatening the players. There's different kinds of movements. They want to threaten the players in one area while safeguarding Mordor. So there's a lot to do. This bot, I think, does a great job pulling it off. So you're still going to be pulling your same number of cards as in a basic Pandemic game, so 2, then 3, then 4 per turn. They do different things depending on how you read the previous cards back. So this red flag indicates that there's going to be some troop movement, so that's how you start combats and such. Or you can get this black flag, which is how you manipulate the Eye of Sauron and the Nazgul, so which more directly threatens Frodo and also adds troops. The basic effect is it keeps things together in terms of generally what the bot is going to do, but it's a wider cone of possibilities, so you have to plan for multiple things turn to turn. Overall, that ended up being really great. On the slightly more difficult side, that cone of possibilities might be pretty wide. So I had a game, you'll see it in one of my playthroughs, where there was a lot of troop summoning, but off in a corner, and the bot didn't really present some difficulty there. Also, I've had it the other way, where just, the cards came together and the magic just kind of assaulted a place and conquered a couple areas and left me behind the 8 ball. Pretty savage. So that's pretty core to the pandemic experience. Sometimes the bot is way against you. Sometimes the game's a little bit easier. I think it's a little bit wider here, but overall, for how this bot performs, I think it's really great. My number 2 is the player characters, a mix overall. On the positive side, you have plenty of options, all of your favorites. You can mix and match. The characters play out like you would know in a pandemic. Some are focused on combat. Others are more support-oriented. You got lots of different specializations and choices. That is all solidly done. On the more difficult side, in this game, Fate of the Fellowship, you have to play as 2 characters, not 1. It's good for a strategic gamer. Like, I like to play as a dispatcher in my normal games of Pandemic, so I like looking at where everybody is and seeing, what's needed, look at the whole board. From a strategic perspective, that's good. But for someone who's just coming into this, they want to play, basic game of a cooperative, and they know the Lord of the Rings IP, they just want to sit down and have a good time. Having those 2 characters in front of them, if you're not as strategically inclined, can be pretty overwhelming. Had a game where I took this to a friend's house, and the 2 of the players ended up just splitting the characters and taking actions in a pool, which kind of goes against designer intent, because the way it works, if you are on your turn, you get 5 actions. 4 have to be of one character and 1 has to be of another character. So having 2 characters split among the players is not as designer intended. Want to give that a flag. The last thing is, I think, and this is a suspicion of mine, I don't know this, that the 2 characters intended to solve a problem of having Frodo and Sam be in every single game. The deck interacts with Frodo and Sam. Everything funnels around getting Frodo and Sam to Mount Doom. So if you were 1 character, then 1 player would be stuck playing Frodo and Sam. That might not be really fun. So it's like, okay, here, have another character. That changes things up a little bit. I think that choice, while strategic, hurts the overall accessibility of the game. My number 1, if you know me as a reviewer, this is always going to be the thing I comment on and look for the most, which is the thematic integration. Happy to say it just feels right, a massive pro. So in the books, you have that split between the Frodo-Sam chapters and what's going on in the rest of the land. The Frodo-Sam chapters tend to be, more crowded, more tense, always on the run, very powerless. They replicate that pretty well over here. So as you move, every time you move and there are enemy units present, you have to make a roll. If you don't make those rolls, you lose hope, which progresses the end game. That's every single move, and the game gives you lots of toys to be able to distract the Nazgul. The Nazgul will come back and follow you because of the enemy deck. This Eye of Sauron over here is haunting you all the time. That feels really good. While at the same time, the game is presenting you this grand battle with focus points. So you have these havens, and the troops are, basically designed to kind of attack the havens, so you can set up your defenses there. Have big cinematic feeling battles that also integrate in the sense that as you battle, you'll be distracting the eye and hopefully allowing Frodo that opening to enter Mordor. But even though I think this is overall a pro, I think there is a point where the theme does take away a little bit from the gameplay, which is the fact that every game has you ending at Mount Doom. So you have a scenario-based game and you always play with this destroy the One Ring scenario. Now, there is plenty of ways to mix it up. You see all these different scenarios. You pick 3 or 4 or 5, and a lot of them feature different characters and different parts of the board. So lots of games will play out in terms of the early and mid game differently, but it funnels towards the end, which might bring the effect over multiple plays of this feeling a little bit samey. I approach this one with excitement, but also a little bit of trepidation. I am pretty sequeled out when it comes to my geek entertainment. It's been playing the same 3 or 4 or 5 IPs. In general, I love me some Lord of the Rings, but that's a lot. And especially the particular experience of rescuing Frodo and Sam again. I've been doing that for 40 plus years across my entertainment. And I think a lot of the difficulty I have with this game comes from the centrality of Frodo and Sam, both in terms of the multiple characters and the end game, the game flow overall feeling a little bit samey. I articulated that in my points. Having said that, not everyone feels the way I feel. Some people love rescuing Frodo and Sam. So the question is, does this game deliver that experience? That is an unqualified yes for me. For me, Pandemic itself is not a thematic game. It's a good receptacle for other themes and ideas. Matt Leacock has had 36 scenarios across the Pandemic legacy games of making that basic system feel thematic, and also some of the other properties as well. So much of that pays off. You can see ideas from the previous games kind of filter into this one. This one is at a higher complexity point, definitely basic Pandemic, but even, within the system, I'd say this is one of the more involved ones. But if that is a draw for you, then I can definitely recommend Fate of the Fellowship. This is Jason with the One Stop Co-op Shop. Morning, we'll see you at the next stop.